Okay, and here we go again. And so today we are going to be talking about scripting. And just go over here. There we go. So, now as you know, we're doing television commercials. And so television commercials are based on a script. Now we did talk about this in class, but it's kind of important that we really cement this in. Everything about the commercial is in the script. The argument is there, everything. And so you really can't start without a script. And so we're going to talk about script format today. We're also going to analyze a few commercials. And basically what you have to think about is you got 30 seconds. At what point in those 30 seconds is anything happening? And what's happening at each point? Okay, now you can do this. Now that's kind of important that I emphasize here because I admit, now that we're kind of going to an online format, the first thing you think, well, how can we do television without a studio, without television equipment? Well, believe it or not, it's not necessarily impossible. In fact, even if all you got to work with is a cell phone camera, it can be done. You just got to be more creative about it. Simpler is better. See, that's the other thing. There's a lot of money spent on commercials. Most television commercials cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. But believe it or not, most of that money is really spent on the creative idea in many cases. Now, of course, if you build some kind of elaborate set, that costs money. If you hire Tom Cruise, for example, that costs money. But at the same time, it could be that the idea itself really doesn't take much to do. The best commercials are not very complicated, especially if the product sells itself or if the idea sells itself. The argument is what counts. Make your argument. That's the most important thing. And whenever possible, show whenever possible. In other words, you got a visual media, demonstrate things. Show what the product does. Show it working. Show it in action if that's applicable. Or show emotion. Be sincere. Your spokesperson, whoever it is that's selling your product, has to look like they're enjoying it. They has to look like they believe in it. And unfortunately, we're in a world of images. Sometimes you've got to act, meaning that you've got to pretend to enjoy something. Now, that's not necessarily, I'm not making a value judgment there. Simply put, that's just how commercials are made. I can remember back working for this company called VizWiz a very long time ago. There was this one scene that they had to shoot 100 times where some person wearing a restaurant outfit would turn to the camera and say, "And you're going to love our prices." And she said that so damn many times just until the director thought she was sincere. And by the time we were done with it, we hated their prices and we hated everything about the scene. But the fact of the matter is, that's sometimes necessary because that's what the client is paying for. If you're going to sell the product, you have to sell the product, and you have to mean it, or you have to pretend, you have to appear that you mean it. I'm not saying to lie. Unfortunately, it's just a question of trying to get the best emphasis possible. Okay, the production plan. If you're going to make a commercial, you need a production plan. This is also based on the script. And this is kind of pre-script, meaning that if you have the concept for the idea, you should already have a pretty good idea how you're going to shoot it. So, for example, plan your work. How many locations are you going to have? How complicated is a script going to be? Remember, you've only got 30 seconds. That doesn't mean you can't cram in 3 or 4 locations. But you might want to consider if it's necessary. Always pare it down. Get rid of what you don't need. How many setups? Let's say you've got one location, but you have 3 or 4 scenes. Each of those is going to require a different setup. Each scene may require a different camera position. How many scenes are you going to have? It could all be done in one scene sometimes. And how many shots? You could have one location, one scene, one setup, one shot. You could do it that way. Is that going to work? Editing technology. Maybe you've only got a cell phone camera, but you've got more editing power than ever existed in civilization. And it's all at your fingertips right now. You're literally sitting right in front of it. It's amazing. You can do post-production magic of all different kinds. You can do green screens. Believe it or not, you can. You can set up like a green curtain or something like that. We have one at in the studio. You can also just stand in front of a wall. Doesn't even matter what color the wall is. You can chroma it out. You have graphics and animation for which you can do wonders. You can have all kinds of neat little animations running around. You can do that all in post. And practice makes perfect. See what you can do with it. It's really, really quite incredible. Don't be afraid to try new things. The worst you can do is not succeed at it. Just try again. You can always have a plan B, have something that's a simpler version of your idea, but one way or another, you've got to do something. Okay, so now we're going to talk about scripts. Basically, you just got to write down what's going to happen. You got to write down the audio, you got to write down the video. You're going to do it in a 3-column format, and the script must be for 30 seconds. Therefore, it should be 1 page. Try to stay within 30 seconds. I'll be honest and say that most 1-minute commercials really could be expressed in 30 seconds. Don't stretch it out. It's a lot easier to keep it short. And we must know what is seen and heard at all times. You got to write the script as if you're not going to be producing it. Give it to someone else and have them produce it. It should look the same as if you did it. Okay, so with this in mind, I've got Microsoft Word open, and we're going to basically do a very simple rendition of a script format, and we're not even going to use lines and columns and stuff like that. I'm going to pretend that more advanced programs don't exist. All I'm going to do is write the word video over here on the left, and I'm going to tab over a bit to roughly the center of the page, and I'm going to write time, and then I'm going to tab over not even that much, and I'm going to write audio. And we can also, if we feel that we need more room, we can tab over like that. And so basically this is going to be the pattern that the script will play out. So whatever happens video-wise goes here. Whatever happens, and whenever that happens, so the time, we'll just put 1 in here. Time always starts at 0, 0. So this is whatever happens first. So that's going to be our framework for the commercial. Now, what I wanted to do is I wanted to show you a commercial and then kind of dissect it a little bit. So let's say we have this a couple of commercials here, and I'm going to grab one that is relatively interesting, and this one will be a little bit entertaining. So if I go here, and this. Okay, so there we go. All right, so that worked out. Whoa, worked out to be a little longer than 30 seconds. Okay, but we're going to play the game anyway. So this was a commercial for tires. So if we were going to script this, let's go back to the beginning here. So this is at 0, 0, 0, 0. So we've got a caution logo that ran for 3 seconds. You see, there's the time down there, 3 seconds. And so if I'm going to go here, I'm going to go back to video, and I may have to play with this a bit. And I'm going to say warning screen. So that warning screen comes at 0 seconds. And audio, we'll just say none. And we're going to write in capital letters. Now we could leave that blank. In this case, it doesn't really matter in my opinion. Okay, so after 3 seconds, so that'll be our next thing. So let's go back to the playback. This is 3 seconds into it. You can see right down there. So we see we have car motion, no audio really. And that goes on 10 seconds. Okay, so let's make it a little bit easier. Let's say we go back a little bit. So let's say between 3 and 12 seconds, we've got this part here. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to say, we'll just call that a medium shot car windshield. Okay, in motion. And we can be a little cryptic because we understand if you describe the thing entirely with a snowy day and everything like that, it might not be necessary because we know basically where the scene's going to be. So we're going to put this to 0003. And so we know, and here, audio, ambient, we'll say car. So there's no dialogue or anything like that. And so then, at the 12-second mark, we're going to keep the same shot. We'll just say windshield. See figure. And that happens at 12 seconds. Same thing, ambient. Okay, so far so good. Let's take it a little further. Okay, so at the point where we have the jump scare, that's at 17 seconds. So we're just going to go right here, and we're going to say MS, because the shot hasn't changed. Jump scare. And that was, I think it was 17 seconds. Let me just check it again. And yeah, 17 seconds. And we'll say 17 seconds. And we'll say, I'll call that SFX. Say bump. How about that? And let's see what happens next. Okay, that takes us to 26 seconds, let's say. So if we're back here, and then we say, we're still on MS windshield. We'll say, so the drivers are escaping, and that takes us to the 26-second mark. 0026. And then we'll just say screaming. Screaming. I think that's right. While I'm at it, let me fix that. Windshield. Okay, so if we go back to our, now we see graphic. Now, I don't actually know what that says. I'm just going to write graphic. Graphic. Oops, I made a mistake. Let's go back here because the graphic actually appears at 26 seconds. So I'll put that in here. And let's say the jump scare. Let's figure out where the jump scare was. Okay, 17 seconds. And so let's say 18 seconds we'll just go with. And we'll do it that way. So basically that's just a big go. And so we could even say that we'll just sort of round that up. Graphic comes in at 26. Let's say no audio. And what happens after that? Okay, so we've had this final thing, 28 seconds. So that's actually different. And so we have a wide shot, zoom in, we'll say figure, with logo. Figure with, yeah, we'll say logo. And that's happening at 0028. Still no audio. But we'll add one more thing to there. Because the car was backing up, it was doing that beeping sign, which I've never seen a car do, but that's okay. All right, so let's go back here. Yeah, so that's the logo. Cute. And the final logo at 35. And we had some ambient noise. Okay, so there is your script. This is how you would address this. And so, if you were to write this, now obviously there's more room on this. So you could add more detail. You could write in fact you probably should, warning screen, what does it say? You can give a couple of lines there. And the windshield, you could describe it. What you don't want to do is write a novel. You basically want to describe it in as little information as you could. So for example, here, let's say I were to add a line here, and let's say we write this in upper and lower case, so it's not quite so difficult. So we see driving on a snowy day, snowy night. Snowy night. And let's say here, figure appears in a road, car pauses. We'll say voices, curious. Okay, so maybe that's good enough for now. Windshield jump scare. And then we'll basically say up close. And we've got that. We may not need to add that much. Let's just say car backs up in panic. Let's see, occupants. Another line here. Okay, so then the graphic, I'm going to assume the graphic might say something like gotcha, or we'll call this a slogan. So, because that's the joke. That's when the joke comes in. And then the company logo, and then the final logo. And so that gives you the story. Okay, so that's your script, and that's what's going to be due. What you have to do is come up with some kind of a story that does this. All right, let's look at one other. And we may not have to write it out this, but let's look at another possible commercial here. And this one would be, well, let's do two, but we'll start with this one. This is a commercial that I believe you could do right in your room, wherever it is you happen to be working. All you basically need is a room with a blank wall, and you could do this. Okay. Okay, so let's analyze this a little bit. Now, first of all, let's say we start with this. Now, this can be anything. It doesn't have to be as elaborate as it is. They're obviously dancing in front of a green screen or in front of a big, multitron, whatever you call those things. And so this could be anything, but they've recorded this for every commercial in their lineup. And so that could just be a graphic, let's say, or stock footage. And it's not even all that good. All right. So here, notice that she pushed that away. And so this is basically a wipe move. And now you've got basically the meat of the commercial. We've got a person standing there talking. Now, everything here was added in post. The logo was added. And let's see how this works. So she's actually calling it a gimmick, which is kind of cute. She's basically saying, these are gimmicks. You don't need gimmicks. All right, here you can basically do this in post. But this would be a second shot. Basically, this is a wide shot. And basically, you're tracking the movements of your spokesperson to the graphics you're going to use. You could even make the graphics based on the movement. Just tell the person, point to your right. Point to your right, say at eye level, point to your right. At chest level, point to your right at waist level. Okay, so those could fly in, those could do some kind of animation coming in. That's not impossible to do. Don't wait. And here we go again. This is another shot where she's on the other side of the screen. And again, doesn't even have to be perfect, but it makes the point. Okay, one more. This is an older commercial, but I think it actually has a very nice little message here. An event seen from one point of view gives one impression. One shot. Seen from another point of view, it gives quite a different impression. But it's only when you get the whole picture you can fully understand what's going on. Okay, nice piece of work. Now, the interesting thing about that is that, believe it or not, this was relatively easy to shoot. I mean, aside from the fact that you got to drop a bunch of fake bricks on somebody, let's put that aside for a minute. Basically, this could be done in one take. Because you basically, like they said, you got one perspective, another perspective, and so they had basically 3 cameras. They just shot the same event. Some guy running to save the guy from the bricks. And yeah, seen from different perspectives, it looks different. And so that's their point. Then they just put up the logo. Now, what did this have to do with... Right. So the camera there, we're seeing him running towards us. The camera that's getting the other shot could be slightly out of frame. Notice? Haven't crossed the line of axis. Okay, there it is. And then suddenly, let's pretend this is all one take. This camera is above. There you go. So a couple actors. And then we get this, The Guardian, which is the name of a newspaper. So they're basically saying that they give you perspective on the news. Now, whether that's true or not, doesn't matter. That's what they're saying. That's what they're selling. That's what they're doing. But there it is. And so if you were to script that, that would be easy. Basically, you'd have the 3 scenes and a moment of black in between them. And that's basically it. Okay, so I'm asking you to write a script. And the script will be due on Monday. Monday for your commercial. Think of something that you want to shoot for your commercial. The script will be due on Monday. And all you got to do is send it to me as a Word document. Now, you are welcome to use Blackboard. Just attach it into Blackboard. That would be great. If you feel that that's not working for you, just send it to me through email. That's fine. But the Blackboard's actually working quite successfully with that. So let's try that first. Okay, so that is all for today.